Have you ever felt like you're just drowning in self-help advice? I mean, it's everywhere. Well, today, we're going to cut through all that noise. We're going to build a simple but really powerful map for your mind. It really is a jungle out there, isn't it? You've got gurus, books, podcasts, all pulling you in a million different directions. And honestly, a lot of the advice feels like it completely contradicts itself. On one hand, you hear this huge, sweeping command, right? Find your purpose. Which sounds great, but how? I mean, what does that actually look like for me on a Tuesday afternoon? It just feels so abstract, almost impossible to grab onto. And then, just when you're wrestling with that, someone tells you to heal your inner child. Again, it sounds deep and important, but what are the actual steps? It kind of feels like you need a degree in psychology just to figure out where to begin. And of course, there's the all-time classic, just be present. It's so simple, but it is not easy. Without a bigger picture, these ideas are like landmarks without a map. They're interesting to look at, sure, but they don't actually show you how to get anywhere. So what if there was a map? A way to organize all this advice into a system that actually makes sense? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dig into today, using a framework that the source material calls the Mind Module. Think of the Mind Module as a kind of unifying theory for personal growth. It's not just another piece of advice to add to the pile. Instead, it's the map that shows you how all those different, confusing pieces of the puzzle actually fit together. Okay, so this map has three core dimensions. There's the vertical axis, which is all about growing up. Then there's the horizontal axis, which is about showing up. And the third piece, practices, well, that's the engine that powers the whole thing. Let's break down that first one. So the vertical dimension, this is all about gaining altitude. It's about how complex your way of making sense of the world is. As you grow vertically, it's like you're climbing a mountain. At the bottom, you just see your own little town. But as you climb higher, you start to see the entire landscape, how different cities and roads all connect. You gain perspective. A great way to picture this journey comes from developmental psychologist Robert Kegan. He shows how we tend to move through these stages. A lot of us start out in what he calls the socialized mind, where our identity is pretty much defined by our community, our family, our friends, our culture. Maybe you chose your career just to make your parents proud. That's a classic example. But with some growth, you might develop a self-authoring mind. Now you create your own internal compass. You decide to change careers because it aligns with your values, even if other people don't get it. And a step beyond that is the self-transforming mind, where you start to see that even your own compass is just one of many valid systems out there. See how each stage builds on the last one? Okay, so if vertical growth is about gaining altitude, the horizontal dimension is about the unique terrain you're standing on right now. It's your personality, your unique style, your patterns of thinking and feeling. It's how you show up no matter what altitude you're at. A really popular horizontal map is the Enneagram personality system. Just take a look here. You can see how different types have totally different drivers. The achiever is motivated by success because they're terrified of being seen as worthless. Meanwhile, the peacemaker is all about harmony because they're afraid of conflict. See? Neither one is better or worse, but understanding your own personal terrain, well, that's a game changer. So now we've got our map, right? The vertical and the horizontal dimensions. But here's the thing. A map doesn't actually move you anywhere. You need an engine. How do we actually climb that vertical ladder or learn to navigate our horizontal terrain a little better? And this brings us to the absolute core of it all. This is the master key to growth. But to really get it, we first have to understand what subject and object mean in this context. Okay, so when something is subject, you're completely inside of it. You can't see it because it is your seeing. It's like the glasses you're wearing. You're looking through them and you just think that's reality. But when you make something object, it's like you take the glasses off. Now you can actually look at the glasses themselves, examine the lens, and decide if you even want to keep using them. And that's really the practical takeaway here. This is it. If your fear of failure is subject, it just runs your life and you don't even know it. But the moment you can see it for what it is, the moment you make it object, you can finally start to work with it. The bottom line is you can't change what you can't see. So we have the map and we have the engine. But a map and an engine are pretty useless if the car stays in the garage. The theory is great, but the source material is crystal clear on this. The real work, the real change, happens through practice. So where on earth do you begin? You start small, like absurdly small. This is what the source calls the minimal daily practice. We're talking 15 minutes a day total. In the morning, you spend 5 minutes just stretching your mind, trying to see a situation from a different perspective. Then, during the day, you try to actually apply that new viewpoint in a real situation. And in the evening, you take 10 minutes to journal and reflect on what you saw. That's it. Seriously? And this is the final crucial piece of the puzzle. Real, lasting change doesn't come from some heroic one-time effort. It comes from simple consistency. 5 minutes of real, genuine practice every single day will create way more transformation than a flashy weekend retreat ever could. Because those tiny shifts, they compound over time.
So, I'm going to leave you with this question. Think about that one thing in your life that consistently triggers you or holds you back. Using this map we've talked about, could that frustration be the very thing you're subject to? What if, instead of being a roadblock, it's actually a signpost, pointing directly to your next step of growth? What might you see if you decided to make it object?